Hey everybody, this is Will, and for the month of June, I want to do something a little different for tutorials. I want to take a turn answering questions you have submitted to me. Now, if you have a question you want me to answer in one of these tutorials or a future tutorial, then submit it to questions@fromstudiotostage.com. You can just send me an email at any time, questions@fromstudiotostage.com, and I'll add it to the list of future questions to answer. Now, if you want an opportunity to have me answer your question one-on-one, you can schedule a 15-minute phone call. We can talk about anything: gear, Ableton Live, automation, live streaming, whatever it is, you name it. You can find links in the description of this video to book a session there. And then I also do one-on-one sessions where we could chat for an hour over Zoom, get a recording of the session. We'll have a lot of fun. But let's get to our very first question. So this comes from Christian. Christian is a From Studio to Stage subscriber, and he is asking about redundant vocal processing. And Christian said, "Hey Will, do you know if there's a way to connect a Play Audio 12 to a different interface like an Apollo Twin and make it redundant? Plug it into the USB host port, perhaps? Thanks for the help." So Christian, great question. And this is a question that I think a lot of people have had, and they're wondering, how does the USB host port function on the Play Audio 12, and exactly how does it handle redundancy? So in order to talk about this, I've got a lot of gear set up here on the desk that I want to talk through and look at. So first off, I've got my Universal Audio Arrow. So it's not a Apollo like Christian mentioned, but it is a Universal Audio interface. I'm going to come back to this in just a moment. Let's talk about the Play Audio 12. Play Audio 12 is my go-to interface. In fact, if you want a suggestion on gear that I suggest, gear that I recommend, then click the link in the description or head to fromstudiotostage.com/gear. It's a free download. You'll get the link to audio interfaces, MIDI controllers that I recommend. But this Play Audio 12 is my go-to interface. And here's why, essentially. It's because it's two audio interfaces in one. So I can connect port 1 here to my computer, my first computer, my A computer, port 2 to my B computer. And so if this computer goes down, it'll automatically switch to this one, or I can use this control port here, which is my preferred method of doing this, and I can manually switch from computer 1 to computer 2. There honestly are a lot of possibilities and a lot of ways you can use this in a live setting, but the Play Audio 12 is again my favorite and my go-to interface. Now again, it's worth mentioning, though this is one device, right? This is one chassis of an interface. There's actually two audio interfaces in this. Now, I know my friends at iConnectivity are probably going, no, it's one interface. Well, but essentially I want you to think of it as there's two audio interfaces in here. That's what makes it redundant. This is for audio interface for computer 1. This is audio interface for computer 2. Okay. When we look at the Universal Audio Arrow or the Apollo or whatever, there's one connection for a computer, right? This one is Thunderbolt 3. I can only connect this to one computer. So by the nature of that, this cannot be redundant in and of itself. So to truly make this redundant, I need two of these, right? I need a mic that's going to go into here that's going to be processed, and then a mic that's going to go into the other one, over here, that's going to be processed. Now, if you have a universal audio device like this and you're familiar with console, you know that the way basically vocal processing works on these is it's actually processing in hardware, so there's really low latency. And so I don't technically have to have two computers to do this. But if I do want this to be redundant, like if this interface goes down, even though this is hardware, even though this is being processed, if I'm doing live auto-tune, even though it's being processed on this, if this thing goes down, then I'm hosed, right? My mic goes down as well too, and I lose my vocal processing. One of the things I'll mention, this is slightly off subject, but if you're going to do some sort of redundant vocal processing, do yourself a favor, buy a mic splitter like this from Radial. The Radial JS2 mic splitter is a great option. Basically, you're going to plug one mic into here. You can use this through output to send it directly to front of house, so that again, if your interface goes down, you don't lose your mic. What then happens is the front of house just grabs your mic here, and then this output could be the output that actually goes into your input here. You could also have, and probably a good idea to have two mics. So if mic 1 goes down, they could switch to mic 2, which is being processed here. Okay. So jumping around a little bit, but I think kind of concept 1 is, in order for this to be redundant, to be truly redundant, we need 2 interfaces. Okay. So that is not going to work based on what Christian said, to use the Play Audio 12. Now I want to look at the Play Audio 12 for a moment, because Christian's question brought up a great point. What in the world is this USB host port for? So what this host port is for is allows me to connect a USB MIDI interface. I've got one over here. Let's see if I can grab this to show you guys. So this is my new go-to from Oaktone. This is the Oakboard Mini. It's got a USB port here. I could plug this into this host port and it's going to power it. But the power of this USB host port is when I connect something like this, a powered USB hub. Has up to 8 different connections on this hub. I can connect up to 8 different USB class compliant MIDI devices to this USB host port. They're going to be powered, and they're going to be sent to both computers that are connected to this device. Okay. So Christian, to your point, can I plug in a interface to this USB host port to make it redundant? No, because again, there's only one of these. I mean, there's only one of these, and 2, there's 2 audio interfaces in the Play Audio 12. So essentially Play Audio 12 is 2 audio interfaces plus a switcher. Okay. USB host port, again, is just to basically send MIDI between computers. It's one of the big reasons why you can take an audio interface like this, press play, and it's going to go to both computers at the same time. Now, if you're in the iConnectivity ecosystem, you're using the Play Audio 12 and you're looking for a way to do redundant vocal processing, that's when I would suggest something like the Audio 4C. Super close to the camera there. But the power of the Audio 4C is the fact that it has 2 USB ports there. Okay. So if I turn this around where you can see a little better. So there's port 1. This could be connected to computer 1. This is port 2 that could be connected to computer 2. That's going to give me redundant inputs to my computer. So I could put my mic here, maybe my backup mic here. It's essentially like a mic splitter, main mic, backup mic. It's going to go both to computer 1 and computer 2. And then outputs for those computers, again, will be managed by the Play Audio 12. So then mic 1, I'll hear on this computer till I switch. Then I'll hear it on computer 2. So that would allow me to do redundant vocal processing in the box. And again, having this guy is super, super powerful. Now, like I mentioned before, I would still, from my mic, I would still hit a mic splitter like the JS2 so that there is a path to get the microphone to front of house that does not include my computer. Call me old school with this, but I just don't like the idea of the only path from the mic to front of house being ran through my computer. I'm not a huge fan of that. So having that JS2 is really, really helpful and really beneficial. So I would go mic to JS2, and then that would split into in my case, what I would suggest is it would go into Audio 4C, and then the other line of the JS2 would go to front of house. And if you have a backup mic, which you probably should, that would go into here. And then again, I would use the Play Audio 12 for redundant audio outputs. Okay. So that's my suggestion, Christian. One final thing I'll mention here. Let me show you this. If you are going to go the route of redundant processing using a universal audio device like the Arrow, okay, again, we need 2 of these interfaces. We're going to need 1 for primary, 1 for backup. Again, the processing of the vocal is going to happen on the device, but we need 2 devices for it to be redundant. I hope that makes sense to everybody. But if you're going to do that, then you need some way to basically switch between outputs, 1 and 2. So here's my outputs. I'll show you here. So that would be like maybe my main vocal output. This would be my secondary vocal output. I can handle all this routing in the UA console software. But I would do this for computer 1, do this for computer 2. What I would suggest if you're going to go that route is check out some of Radial's hardware switchers. Again, the Play Audio 12 is essentially a switcher and 2 interfaces in one. You can get the SW-8. They also have the SW-8 USB. But if we're talking about just mics, then what you might want to do is get the backtrack. The backtrack is a stereo switcher. You can see input A and B. We could plug in a switch to switch it. And then we get our stereo outputs here, and we have 2 sets of inputs. So this could be mic 1. This could be our backup mic here. And then from our second interface, mic 1, and then mic 2. So Christian, great question. I hope that helped. I hope that gave you a couple thoughts on gear. Again, if you want to get my suggestion on gear, head to fromstudiotostage.com/gear. Check the link in the description to head there. If you want to have me answer one of your questions in a live video, then send it to questions@fromstudiotostage.com, and we'll get that on the list for a future question. Or I may reply back and say, hey, I've already answered that here. Check out this video. But if you want me to answer one-on-one, we can set up a quick 15-minute call if you're interested in that, or set up an hour-long one-on-one Zoom session. You'll find info on how to do both of those in the description in this video. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Take care. Have a fantastic summer, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.